Back here on Debrief, for months, Venezuela has devolved into total chaos. It originally started with oil. It makes up 95% of the country's export earnings and 25% of GDP. And a plunge in prices has meant economic collapse. Basic goods like medicine and toilet paper are tough to come by, and anti-government protests have become a regular event. In just under a month, 28 people killed, over 400 people injured, and nearly 1,300 arrested. So where is the opposition in all of it, and do they have any real power behind the public support? Our Damien Patchter with us. Damien, thanks for being here. So you're bringing us an exclusive interview with one of the strongest voices in the opposition. Tell us about it.
Yeah, she's a woman, she's a leader, and she's been persecuted by Chavez first and now Maduro. She's now blamed for the murder of a student, and 48 hours before her interview with us, she received an order of apprehension through social media. So now we're gonna see what happens. We might see her last interview for now. Let's have a look to what she has to say to us.
Well, I have been persecuted through several means through the regime in these last years. Actually, I'm forbidden from leaving my country for over 3 years. And I was blamed 3 days ago by the Minister of Interior to be linked with the murder of a young student in the state of Táchira, even though the whole world saw in social networks how this young lady was killed by these paramilitary groups, which follow orders from the regime. Actually, 2 days ago, I received that through social media as well, this information about an order of apprehension against myself. And as everybody is aware in Venezuela and throughout the world, we live in a country which a dictatorship has eradicated all legality, in which many citizens have been put in jail without order of a judge, of a court, and so believe me, it's a real threat. Nevertheless, I've answered this new threat with the same position. I will stay in the streets with Venezuelan citizens, which today represent an undetainable, strong civilian force, popular force that is decided to move ahead into a transition to democracy and freedom.
One of the key issues is the loyalty of the army. I mean, how, given the crisis that is going on in Venezuela, the army is still loyal? Well, Maria Corina Machado said that actually that's not true. Within the files of the military, there's something starts to happen. They all most of them come from lower sectors. So we might see something being developed in a few weeks. So let's have a look what she had to say.
In fact, I believe that the wide majority of our armed forces is against a dictatorship in Venezuela, because on first hand is suffering as well as the rest of our population, the social and humanitarian crisis. Hunger does not only affect our children that need to look into the garbage in the street to feed themselves, but also hunger has reached our armed forces and battalions. On the other hand, our armed forces have been witnesses of how this regime has been tolerating and even been part of the way the guerrilla and narco traffic has been entering and using Venezuelan territory as a safe haven. So even though fear and division has been put into the armed forces in order to maintain its loyalty to the regime, today that only stays in a very, very high level of the military, which are certainly very corrupt and part of this international and mafia crime.
And Damien, even with her life under threat, as we heard, she had some other pretty strong messages.
Yeah, she's not playing around. She points out straight at President Maduro, and let's have a look to what she had to say.
It's time to go. It's over. It better listen to over 90% of Venezuelan citizens, we are together. We have decided to move ahead, to bring together our country, to make Venezuela once again a free, democratic, prosperous nation. And their time is over. He must listen to the people and step aside. The moment for a new, democratic, free Venezuela has arrived.
So, Damien, obviously she says his time is over. In the meantime, the people in the streets have no access to basic goods and are entering violent protests. Where do you see it heading?
Well, it seems that as time passes, opposition is gaining a momentum. We don't know yet where it's going to lead, but we can see that the opposition is getting stronger. Maduro is only based on only his most loyalty people. Even inside the military, he's only backed by his most loyal soldiers, which are, according to Corina Machado, they are corrupt. So we might see a rebellion, or the only chance we see a significant change in Venezuela is the military. I don't think
from within the army.
Yeah.
Damien Pastor, thanks very much for that interview. Very interesting, and maybe indeed the beginning of a shift in the military and for support for the opposition. Damien, thanks very much for that. We're going